In today's episode, we'll be previewing St. Louis City SC versus Nashville SC, talking about the buyout of Joakim Nilsson's contract, City SC rumors, and much more. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Zmaj Media podcast. I'm your host, Dino Soljanovic. You can find me on X at Dino_zigzag and on X and Instagram at the Zmaj Media accounts. We have a lot to talk about in today's episode, but the first thing I want to talk about is introducing Zmaj Media and what we're all about. Zmaj Media has rebranded from STL Fanaticos to become your STL Sports and Soccer Hub, and we plan to provide a lot more coverage with the primary focus being on St. Louis City SC, soccer, the U.S. men's national team, and we'll also be talking about the Bosnian national sports teams. Thank you guys for your support so far. We really appreciate it, and stay tuned for future coverage. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the episode. This Saturday, City SC takes on Nashville SC at Energizer Park. City are currently 4-6-14, led by interim head coach David Critchley. City are currently 2 points ahead of the Galaxy in the West. From what I believe, we'll most likely see a similar starting XI to the first half against Villa and the last MLS match against Minnesota. Obviously, Chris Durkin will be suspended due to picking up a red card in the Minnesota match. Henry Kessler is back training unrestricted. However, I believe it is unsure whether or not he will be ready to feature in the match against Nashville. Here are some comments now from Coach David Critchley in his pre-match presser. Klaus and Hartl are both back and ready despite having missed training earlier in the week due to being a bit under the weather. Toysert missed practice today due to having some muscle fatigue, so it is unsure whether or not he will be 100% ready to go against Nashville. Coach Critchley also spoke about Joakim Nilsson, which we'll get more to later, but he did say that Joakim has been a complete professional and was always helping the guys out when he could. Obviously, despite it being a little late in the season, we finally have a small injury report with only Michael Wenzel currently out. We could also potentially see the official MLS debut of City's brand new Senegalese defender, Fallou Fall. It is unsure whether he will feature in the starting XI or will come on later in the match to make his MLS debut off the bench. Fallou Fall featured in the Aston Villa match a little bit. In my opinion, he looked pretty good, and I'm excited to see more of what he offers. He had some good ball playing and passing moments and had a few nice clearances as well. Now, speaking of Aston Villa, last time out in the league, St. Louis City SC fell to 2-1 to Minnesota United in their last regular season match. Edward Lovin scored from the penalty spot to give City SC the first half lead. Minnesota responded after the break with 2 second-half penalty goals to flip the scoreline and take all 3 points, sadly. St. Louis also played in friendly match against Aston Villa, pushing the English Premier League team in a match that saw the European club edge out a 2-1 victory. Cedric Toysart scored City's only goal in the friendly. Now, moving back on to Nashville. Since joining MLS in 2023, St. Louis City SC has faced Nashville SC just once, with the match ending in a 3-1 defeat for City. Against Eastern Conference opponents, City holds a 5-7-4 record dating back to their first ever season. Nashville SC is led by former U.S. men's national team assistant and former U.S. men's national team interim head coach B.J. Callahan. Nashville currently sits third in the Eastern Conference with 47 points and a 14-6-5 record on the road. On the road, they have a 5-5-2 record, scoring 16 goals and conceding 17. The team enters the match on a 2-game winless run after a 2-0 loss to the New York Red Bulls and a scoreless draw against the New England Revolution. Sam Surridge leads Nashville with 18 goals and has added 4 assists. Hani Mukhtar has contributed 11 goals and 8 assists, while Andy Nahar leads the team with 10 assists. A very dangerous attack from Nashville, but I think this can finally be the game where City puts things together and grabs themselves a win. Coach Critchley also mentioned during his presser that he wants to take stuff from both the Villa and Minnesota match and put it into a good performance against Nashville. My personal prediction is that Nashville will take an early lead, but City will come back to win it 2-1. Next up in the podcast, let's move on to City 2's performance last night against the Vancouver Whitecaps 2. St. Louis City 2 picked up a 4-2 victory over Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2 on Wednesday night in Burnaby, British Columbia. The win extended City 2's unbeaten streak to 11 games. Mackay Joyner opened the scoring for City 2 from the penalty spot. Notching his 12th goal of the season, Vancouver equalized in the first half stoppage time, but 1 minute later, Cam Sealy scored his second goal of the season to give City a 2-1 lead at halftime. Brendan McSorley added another goal just 1 minute into the second half, extending St. Louis's lead to 3-2. 3-1. Whitecaps FC 2 pulled one back, but Emil Jääskeläinen sealed the victory in the 86th minute, securing another 3 points for City 2. St. Louis returns home to Energizer Park for their third and final regular season meeting against the Colorado Rapids 2 on Sunday, August 10th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Some post-game thoughts or notes. Mekhi Joyner scored his team-leading 12th goal of the season. Additionally, Joyner also earned his third assist of the season. Cam Sealy tallied his second consecutive goal after scoring his first professional goal on July 27th against Minnesota United FC 2. Brendan McSorley notched his 7th goal of the season. McSorley has now scored in back-to-back matches for City 2. Emil Jääskeläinen found the back of the net for his 6th goal of the season. City 2 sits in first place in the league's overall standings with 46 points, a lot better than City's first team. St. Louis extended their unbeaten streak to 11 consecutive matches with their 14th victory of the season. During the streak, St. Louis City 2 has picked up 32 points out of a possible 33. A lot better also than City's first team. The squad earned their 7th road win of 2025. Tonight's win yesterday's win, as I should say, not tonight's, marked City 2's 4th all-time win against Whitecaps FC 2. It was a great overall performance from the whole team, as well as Mekhi Joyner, who had a man-of-the-match performance. Drew Young brought up a good point on X on whether City should develop Mekhi Joyner to be a cornerstone for this team, or should they develop him to be able to sell him. In my opinion, I want to see Mekhi Joyner and a lot of these younger guys potentially get more play time next season. However, overall, I think it would be very important and best for City to develop Mekhi Joyner and then sell him for some profit. Recently, there have been some rumors of Watford, which is a former Premier League side currently playing on the EFL Championship, which is England's second division, being interested in Mekhi. This would be a great club, in my opinion, and a stepping stone for him. If these rumors are true, it would probably potentially make City some good profit. One thing I enjoyed seeing during the Aston Villa game, which I'll bring up once more, was that there were some young players from City 2 that got a decent amount of playtime and opportunities, like Mekhi Joyner, Miggy Perez, who we haven't seen in the first team in a while, so it was nice to see him back. He was one of my favorite players during the inaugural season. We also saw Brendan McSorley and I believe Tyson Pierce, correct me if I'm wrong. So now moving on to the next part of this podcast. Joakim Nilsson, as many by now know, City have exercised the option to buy out Swedes defender Joakim Nilsson's contract. As a result, Nilsson will no longer occupy a senior roster spot, and his salary will not count against the club's 2025 salary budget. Here are some comments from City's sporting director, Luch Pfannenstiel. Joakim has been a true professional throughout his time in St. Louis, said sporting director Luch Pfannenstiel. Unfortunately, injuries prevented him from contributing as much as he and the club would have liked. We thank him for his commitment both on and off the field and wish him and his family all the best moving forward. Coach Critchley also said it was unlikely that Nilsson would have played again this season, and he also added, "It was a decision that I think himself and the club made and for all parties." Critchley said, "Just for the health of him, I always think about it for these athletes as well, what they're going through. So much pain as an injury. They need to be thinking about fatherhood and how they're going to be in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So I think it was the right decision for both parties." Joakim featured in 32 games for City, and it sucks to see injuries affect him even a little bit even before he officially joined City. He got injured in an international duty, or international qualifiers, as I should say, for Sweden during qualifiers for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. City have a great two-part series about his return from that knee injury and surgery, where in his first game back, actually, after many months, I believe, he scored a header for City 2, which was great. He was always a great person on and off the field. Sadly, I never got to meet him, but I've heard nothing but great things about him from fans and many people around the club. I'll always remember his beautiful goal, actually, against the LA Galaxy a few years back, where he scored a beautiful overhead kick. Just wonderful. I believe he tied the game for City in that match. I can't remember if that was early last season or if it was during the inaugural season, so if someone could correct me on that, I'd appreciate it. Joakim also released a great statement on Instagram, which I'll read now. "Thank you and goodbye. My time with the club has come to an end, and I want to take a moment to express my gratitude, a journey with both challenges and growth. Unfortunately, I've spent a large amount of my time sidelined due to injury, and I truly wish I could have been more available for the team and the fans. I loved every minute I was able to give everything for the club, and I always wore City Red with pride. However, being unable to contribute on the field has been tough, but has also made me appreciate the game even more. To the best fans in MLS, thank you for the love and support, both for me personally and for the team. Your passion means more than you know. Please keep supporting the team as you're always doing. Also to my teammates, coaches, physios, and everyone working in and around the club, thank you for all the memories. Now I'm looking forward to the next chapter, motivated and excited. Thank you for everything, Joakim. So yeah, just class from him. Beautiful statement from him as well. Made me pretty emotional reading it. It sucks to see because he was before he joined City, he was a great player with a lot of experience in the Bundesliga, had experience playing for Sweden's national team. Like I said, he picked up a knee injury in qualifiers for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. But he played an integral part. Sadly, they didn't qualify that year, but he played an integral part in their qualifiers. And yeah, he picked up, I believe it was a knee injury. Had to go through surgery and stuff, so it took him a long while to, get back to where he was. But yeah, it just sucks to see because, he's a great guy from what I've heard. He was a great player. In my opinion, I really enjoyed seeing him play for City. I thought he had a lot of qualities. He was a great defender. And like I said, again, it's important to have, older guys in the team. He wasn't that old, but just older guys in the team with experience in leagues like the Bundesliga and experience with teams like the Swedish national team, because they can bring that experience and also help some of City's younger guys and just help the team overall. So yeah, it sucks to see. I want to thank Joakim personally as well for everything he's given to the club. He was always a great player, great competitor. Like I mentioned earlier, great person. And yeah, it sucks to see. But, hopefully, he can find himself a club for next season, begin a new chapter. Hopefully, it's not like an injury. Obviously, he's been out all season. So hopefully it's not an injury that could carry over into next season and potentially even maybe end his career. That would suck for it to happen, and I hope it really doesn't. So yeah, once again, I want to thank Joakim for everything. And it's just, a sad thing. The next thing I wanted to talk about and move on to in this episode was City SC rumors. Now, let's all be honest. As much as I would love for former Bosnian international midfielder and former Juventus and Barcelona midfielder, sadly the Barcelona move, kind of ruined his career a little bit, Miralem Pjanic to join St. Louis City, it's not happening. Let's be honest. The only credible source so far I've seen report on this is Reprezentacija Ba, which is a Bosnian news site who's been covering the Bosnian national team and Bosnian soccer and sports for many years now. However, I do believe they were most likely fooled as well by a fake report from Tom Booger, who's been on an absolute tear this summer, if we're being honest. Hey, but then again, on some of the stuff, he's only been early. He wasn't lying. He's been early on some of the things. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like I said, he's been on an absolute tear this summer. And it's a pretty hilarious account. It cracks me up. Yeah, like I mentioned on Twitter the other day, or X, as I should say, to Jeremy Clements, Pjanic stated to Bosnian journalist Emir Delic that he still has a passion to go out and play. But I did also notice later on, because I went back and watched the podcast that he brought this up on. Emir Delic is Bosnian journalist who worked for many sources like Al Jazeera, which is one of the biggest channels in the Balkan region, which I believe is shutting down. But yeah, it was one of the biggest channels for years. He also worked for Dnevni Avaz, which is one of the biggest Bosnian newspapers. So yeah, he's a well-renowned sporting journalist in the region. He did state to him that he would like to stay close to his son, Edin, and his family. So I do believe that move to the MLS is most likely off the table, and it's not going to happen, which, sucks. I feel like had City gone out and pursued him possibly even after Barcelona or before he joined Sharjah in the UAE or before he joined CSKA Moscow, it would have been a lot better of a move, and it would have been interesting. I think it would have brought a lot more Bosnian fans towards St. Louis City and gained bigger Bosnian support for them, which we have great support currently, but I think, with how crazy some Bosnians are with soccer, speaking from, my personal accounts, it would have been a great move. Obviously he didn't really go and light Russia up. And, he was decent in the UAE from what I've heard. I did notice a lot of people were complaining, oh, he has 0 goals, this and that, and the rest of the league. he's never been a goal scorer in his career. He's always been more of a creative mind. He's been great at set pieces and stuff like that. Obviously, yeah, 2 assists didn't look great. He's very much past his prime. Like I said, I believe the move to Barcelona ruined him a little bit as he fell out with manager at the time, Ronald Koeman, who is, I believe, currently in charge of the Dutch national team. So it sucks to see that Pjanic's career, never got to reach the highs it did at Juventus, Roma, and Lyon. But yeah, like I said, it would have been a great move to see maybe a few years back. Pjanic was great for the Bosnian national team, great at free kicks, one of the best free kick takers in Europe during his prime. I will be honest, I think he was the best free kick taker in the world in his prime. So yeah, speaking of Bosnia, one thing I wanted to bring up was one player I've been asked about since I heard a rumor, but nothing concrete yet. The city could be looking into another forward. So the player that I was asked about a lot was FK Sarajevo and Georgian international attacker Đurđe Guliashvili. About a month ago, I reported that Bosnian journalist Edin Isanovic stated on a podcast that an unnamed MLS club sent an offer of around $3.7 million to Sarajevo for their captain, Đurđe Guliashvili. From what I know at the moment, this was more of an inquiry rather than an actual offer. I reached out to the legendary Bosnian sports commentator and journalist Marijan Mihajlović, whose podcast Edin brought this up on. However, Marijan said that he's still unsure of what team from the MLS was interested in Guliashvili, as it wasn't ever officially stated. Edin never officially stated it to him. He just said that it was an unnamed team. He did mention that this same team was one of the MLS teams, from what I know, there were 2 interested in former Sarajevo midfielder and attacker Kevin Viveros, who I'm not sure. I think he might have either gone to Brazil or Colombia instead, but apparently there were 2 MLS teams interested in him, which Lorenzo Lapore, Italian journalist, reported on. Also at the time, though, those teams were also unnamed, so it's hard to find out what team was interested in Viveros. If anyone knows, I'd appreciate you letting me know. The only reason at the time I believe this would be City or St. Louis City is because they've done business with Sarajevo in the past in terms of Selmir Pedro, who sadly never worked out in the end, which sucks as a Bosnian. I wanted to see Selmir work out. He was also obviously City's first ever player. But they've also done some business with Velez Mostar in terms of Pedro as well, where Guliashvili was on loan a few years back. Now, another player or rumor to keep a lookout on, potentially, which Drew Young pointed out on X, was Aaron Opoku, who said they were interested in the winter. Opoku is currently a free agent and was recently linked to the Turkish Super League club Kayserispor. This is very much a Luch-like move, but I do believe that City shouldn't go out and get him because, in my opinion, he hasn't really done much in the last few years. Once again, like I said, obviously City were interested in him in the winter. The deal never happened. It fell through. But knowing Luch, it is a deal I could see happen. At the moment, I feel like City would need a good defensive midfielder. So, I wish the Pjanic rumors were true, but they're not. And in terms of, they could, strengthen the attack a little bit. Obviously, the Klaus to Club Leon rumors never panned out, which I'm happy for. I think Klaus doesn't deserve the hate he gets. I think he's been pretty decent for City this year. I mean, he's our highest goal scorer this year. It's been, a struggle for City this year to score goals, which is one thing that we struggled a lot during Olaf Melberg's tenure. We were able to keep the ball out of the net, but we weren't able to score in the other net. And that changed with David Critchley. We're now able to score on the other net, but we can't keep the ball out of our own net. One thing I'm also interested in is whether or not Roman Berkey will stay. Obviously, at the moment, I don't think he will. I would love for Roman Berkey to stay. He's, been a great player for us. He's probably one of our best players, if not our best player. He's our captain. But at the moment, I think it might be unlikely. Obviously, the past few days on X, picture off of Roman's story, or Roman, as I should say. I'm not sure which one he likes to go by. I believe it's Roman, actually. So apologies for that. On his story, though, the other day on Instagram, he did post a picture, or his wife, actually, I should say his fiance, not wife yet, wife to be, posted, and then he reposted him, his agent in California, and all it said was meetings. So whether this is him negotiating with another club or him, focused on something else, we are unsure. I would love for him to stay with City, but at the moment, I don't believe he owes City anything. I mean, he's given his all for the club the last 3 seasons. He's been one of our best players, if not our best player. In my opinion, he's been our best player the last 3 seasons. He's given his all for the club. He's our captain. It kind of sucks for him. While he was at Dortmund were always second fiddle to Bayern Munich. They were always, second place. I believe he might have won the DFB Pokal, which is the German cup, while he was there. But sadly, he never got to win a league or, anything domestic out of Germany, like the Champions League or the Europa League. So, yeah, it sucks to see that he never got to win stuff here. And then he moved over to City. And sadly, obviously the first season was great. We made the playoffs, sadly got knocked out by the club who shall not be named, the one who thinks they're from Missouri, but they're not. No, I'm just kidding. Sporting KC. And then after that, it's just been, mediocrity for City. Obviously, last season, we sacked Bradley Carnell, which was, still unsure whether it was a mistake or not. Obviously, he's been great with the Philadelphia Union this year. After we sacked Carnell, we then brought in our technical director, who's currently the interim head coach of City 2, John Hackworth, which we improved under Hackworth, and, it sucks. I feel like had we had a few more games, who knows, maybe we would have even snuck into the playoffs. And then we hired Olaf, and I'm not talking about the Snowman. We hired Olaf Melberg, who was the complete opposite of everything City promised him to be. City also promised us, talking about Carolyn Kindle and the ownership in the front office, promised us playoffs. That's not happening this year, sadly. It sucks. I love this club. I would love for them to make the playoffs again. At this point, it's whatever, but, it sucks. Obviously, Olaf Melberg was terrible. We had a good defensive record in his time, but weren't able to score. Then David Kirtley has come in as interim head coach. We've been able to score, but we haven't been able to keep the ball out of the net, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, I just hope City can improve. Like I was talking about Berkey, it sucks that he hasn't been able to win anything with us. I think, I think he, really enjoys his time with the club, but I think he wants to move on and try to win something before his career is over. So yeah. And that should about do it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our first ever episode. Sorry if I had a few mistakes riddled here and there. I tried to make it the best episode I could. It's my first time filming a podcast in many, many years. I think since maybe 6th or 7th grade. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. This will probably go out onto Spotify. I'm not sure if we'll have it on other platforms yet. And then we'll probably go out as an audio recording or clip onto YouTube. So be sure to follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and X if you haven't already. Once again, I appreciate your guys' support. We had some audio technicalities earlier. I filmed a whole episode earlier. It was about 30 minutes long or so. And then the audio messed up. It didn't pick up any of it. I guess because my AirPods, for some reason, weren't 100% connected or something. I'm not quite sure why. But, yeah. So, yeah, once again, stay tuned. We are looking for a co-host. If anyone wants to, volunteer some time out of their day each week or so to, provide some insight on St. Louis City, maybe even, some other soccer around St. Louis, the U.S. men's national team, and then the Bosnia national team I can obviously take over. You don't have to be consistent. I would just love if someone would, want to join or reach out to me and want to join here and there to talk about things on the podcast. I would really appreciate that. It would make my job a little bit easier. So, yeah, like I said, I can talk about, the Bosnia national team and some things, which, sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart there. But, yeah, the Bosnia national team, or the Bosnia national basketball team is kicking off their Eurobasket campaign soon. So I'm very excited for that. And I'll probably talk about that and cover it and maybe even preview the tournament for Bosnia on this podcast. Once again, thank you guys so much for sticking around. and listening. Sorry for the mistakes in this episode. I'm trying to recount of everything I talked about earlier when I had the recording, but sadly, that recording messed up. Also, sorry if the audio doesn't sound the best. I'm trying my best. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for your support. Sorry for the brain farts here and there. And I'm Dino signing off for Zmaj Media. Thank you guys once again so much. And I hope you enjoyed this episode.